What's going on, everybody? It's episode 2 of Bridge the Gap. I'm sitting right here with Ryan Colbert. Ryan, you want to say hello?
Hey, everybody.
And Ronnie Collis is in Tampa. Ronnie, you want to say hi?
I want to say absolutely hello. Good morning. Hope it's been a good week so far.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited because we got a special guest on this episode, and I want to introduce him the right way. So before we bring him on screen, I want to show you guys something real quick. I'm going to share my screen. And if you guys watch Family Feud, you know Steve Harvey and you know this gentleman here. So let me show you what we got going on here. Watch this for a second. And let me just bring him up here. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize. There we go. All right. So we're going to show Ronnie.
8 answers on the board. We asked 100 women. Name something you wouldn't want to find out your date was carrying. A gun. A gun.
And that is Jarrod Washington, who we're excited to bring on. So Jarrod, hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Jonathan and Ryan. Thank you guys so much for having me. And happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope everyone's having a blessed day so far.
We are having a blessed day. Well, thank you for being on. We are live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. For those of you who are joining, who are filtering in as we're getting started, just a reminder, if you have any questions, whether you're on the LinkedIn Live or the YouTube Live, any questions you want to propose to any one of us on the show, just put them in the comment section and we'll do our best to get to them as we move along. Jarrod, you are with Extreme Networks. You are a cloud specialist, a cloud service expert, right? Is that how you call yourself?
Well, I'm actually the cloud sales leader for the Western U.S. At Extreme Networks. And, just recently got promoted into the role and moved my family cross country from Fort Lauderdale back here to the Sacramento, California area for the role, which is home for me, right? I'm originally born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. So it's been a whirlwind these past couple months, but glad to be back home by family. I got a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. They deserve to grow up by their family, and just having a great time and really excited to be here and bridge the gap in tech with Ryan.
Well, I tell you guys, I was talking to Ronnie last week, and we were talking about guests that we should have, and Ryan, and we were all kind of communicating. And Ronnie brought up, hey, you got to talk to this guy, Jarrod. I mean, he's dynamic. And check out this link. So he sent me the YouTube link of you on Family Feud. Ryan and I were getting a good kick out of it. We all laughed. Real quick, before we even get started, how did that whole process happen? How did you guys get on there?
Yeah, so, they do, it's really interesting. They actually do a traveling tour, like a road show, right? And my sister has been wanting to get on the show for quite a long time. So literally, on the radio, they go around. Does your family have what it takes to be on Family Feud? Come on down to the convention center and show us what you got. And so we went to the convention center, the Santa Clara Convention Center here in California, and just insane, just a ton of families dressed up, themes. We saw Avengers, people showed up on horseback. It was crazy. And so they throw you into these different rooms, and there's a stage with a curator who plays Steve Harvey, and you get up and you play a mock game with another family as your audition, right? So we went in there, we did our audition, had the whole entire crowd laughing and cheering and stuff like that. Got the tap on the shoulder to go talk to the producers, and did some kind of one-on-one, camera interviews there. And then they flew us out, right? They sent us the note. We got it. We were so stoked, man. I think my sister and my mom cried. And then they actually flew us out to Atlanta, Georgia, is where they do all the taping, put us up in a hotel, and then took us over to the venue to do the show. What's really interesting is I don't think a lot of people realize is that the studio audience there is just all the other families taping for the day. Steve Harvey is a machine. Such a great guy too. And he does 6 to 8 tapings a day. And then you go up and, he just does a costume change and you go. So we had a great time, being on Family Feud. It was the vacation of a lifetime, as you can imagine.
That's a pretty interesting story, right? I knew that they shoot a couple episodes in a day. I don't think they just shoot one a day, but I knew that, but I didn't realize all the logistics and dynamics again. But you were amazing on there. So I'm super excited to get a chance to talk to you. I know the guys are as well. And go ahead.
I just want to know where you get your dance moves from.
I actually did professional musical theater being a young kid. So I got a few moves here. I can cut a rug from time to time,
That makes a lot of sense.
I will. After 9 p.m., he definitely can cut a rug. That is a fact.
You're hanging out in the villages too much there, Ronnie.
Yes.
We're always dancing and hanging out with Ronnie and the trifecta team. They're awesome.
That's why Jarrod moved. He moved all the way across the country because hanging out with me was dangerous.
It was dangerous. It was dangerous for my health.
Let's talk about some tech stuff, boys, because I think the audience, just so you know, Jarrod, we got an audience of a bunch of tech guys, IT practitioners, and a bunch of sales folks as well. So, I'm sure that the technical aspect of it, the biggest topic that we have right now is the shortage that we have going on in the US, right? The chip shortage, and watching on the news how all this stuff is happening. And I'm curious from a tech perspective, specifically for you and Ryan, I'm curious to know, how in IT, you guys always have to prepare for like a cybersecurity attack, right? You may not be attacked today, but you're preparing for an attack that may happen in a year from now. Hopefully it doesn't. But the shortage, right? I saw on the news that potentially this thing could last 2 or 3 years. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not knowledgeable to know that. But from an IT perspective, how are you guys handling that? Are you preparing for that? Is that something that you're not worried about? What do you guys think?
I think it's a very real concern. I think that it requires a lot of coordination with business to be aligned with what the business's growth strategies are and anticipate what those needs are going to be. I've got vendors that are telling me their backlog is 6 months right now.
Wow.
So I need to know what we need as a business, going into next year. And I have to be placing those orders now, or I'm not going to have the equipment that we need to be able to survive.
What about you, Jarrod? What do you think? Is that you confirming that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely, Ryan. You hit the nail on the head there. I think it's all about strategic planning now, right? Hey, we need to really look not just 6 months. We need to look 2 years out, right? What's our strategic plan for our business? What needs do we have to fill? What projects do we have to execute on, right? And then working, with your business to understand those upcoming needs and start having more of a far-reaching, forward-thinking strategy in regards to your supply chain. And right now, that's, everyone in the supply chain industry is getting tested. They're having one of the greatest challenges of their career right now, dealing with this pandemic and trying to figure out how to get gear shipping, how to get the required, get orders placed, thinking about logistics, alternative sources, right? This is kind of that dual vendor strategy where you start thinking about, hey, where else can I source? What other chips are there? And I think, if anything, it's very telling just how ingrained technology is in our society, right? You don't think about chips, all the chips that are required for car vehicles, right? Trying to get a car right now is crazy. I just bought a new fridge and they were short on refrigerators because of chips. And then you also got to start thinking about in the manufacturer, those machines that actually are manufacturing the products that us consumers love and purchase and procure every day. Those machines require chips, right? So it's very, very crazy. But I think one of the biggest things that folks, are pivoting towards is software and SaaS, right? Seeing how a cloud solution or a software solution can assist them with executing on their initiatives without the need for actual physical hardware.
Well, even end user compute devices are impacted by this, right? Laptops are harder to buy today than they were a year ago. I think that we may see a temporary shift away from that whole model around just-in-time delivery to where people are going to have to start hoarding parts a little bit in order to get that competitive edge that they need to deliver for their customers.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt here, guys, but I will tell you, I walked through Publix last night. There was no shortage on potato chips. So I just wanted to clarify the issue that if you're looking for Pringles, they're still available. But anything with technology, obviously, it's certainly become a struggle.
I took my joke. I was going to say Funyuns.
Hey, at least there's toilet paper, you know.
What about chips like at the casino? As long as they don't run out of those chips, like poker chips.
Trust me, they got lots of
We
those
got a
chips.
problem there.
Right.
They have the chips. They just like to take them back from you. Is that what the casino likes to do? They like to remove the chips.
But you know what, Jack? I'm curious because we see it here on the news, right? And we're feeling the pain as Ryan is mentioning. But you're there on the West Coast, right? LA is one of the biggest ports where all these ships are coming in and importing all this stuff. I mean, what is the sense there? I mean, are you able to like feel that there's stuff happening, stuff moving? I know that the government was having some, they were trying to do some things, working people 24 hours, 7 days a week at, union workers and at the ports to be able to try to get things going. Are you sensing or seeing that things are getting better, or are they staying stagnant?
Things are definitely not staying stagnant. Things are moving just at a slow pace, right? I mean, you got the pandemic, here in California, different mandates, and people are very sensitive to that, right? Especially with the Delta variant and that kind of resurgence there. However, with vaccinations and things of that sort, it seems like in regards to the, actual pandemic, that things are getting better. Things are on a decline downhill, which is good, getting some stability. And of course, we're going to have flu season, so we'll see how the winter goes. But definitely, everyone is working so hard. I mean, you got to think about just how much revenue for society, right? For for the state, and all of these companies out here, especially Silicon Valley, that are highly reliant on the shipment and delivery of goods, right? So everyone is working. I think things are easing up, which is good, right? We're starting to see some steady progress. However, we're still definitely not out of the woods. We got a long way to go. And it's just all about, overcoming adversity, thinking outside of the box, and figuring out a way to come out on top and accommodate your needs as a company, as a government, as a society here. Just really all about banding together, right? Working together to figure this thing out and make it through.
We got to defeat that chip that stole Christmas.
Exactly. Exactly. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. So
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because I'm in the sales world, right? Ronnie and I, we're both on the sales side, and so we don't necessarily. I mean, unless our personal lives, Ronnie, you could jump in anytime, but I don't necessarily feel it unless it's my personal thing. Like you said, Jarrod, earlier, purchasing, a fridge or a car or whatever, maybe then we feel it. But from a business perspective and IT perspective, I'm only going off of what my customers and clients and friends are telling me. So it seems like it may not be necessary. It's a pain point right now that we have an eye on. But I would imagine as we keep on going down and the ball keeps rolling and all this stuff, I would imagine that this could become like a major crisis for businesses.
I think the problem is really where somebody is using a specialized chip, right? So, certain manufacturers use a specific chip inside of their automobiles. And when that chip isn't available and you don't have the capacity to replace it with a more generic chip,
Right.
then you've got a manufacturing issue. But, video conference units, those are on back order for a lot of manufacturers. Some switching hardware is on back order for a lot of manufacturers, and user compute devices are suffering from the same things.
Yeah.
But any place where you can swap it out with a more generic chipset,
Right.
Your supply chain becomes a little bit more diverse, and you can really keep up with the demand.
Ronnie,
I was going to say, but it's funny that was where I probably was going to jump in. Is that what we've learned so far? Like I said, we get these notices, so let's go outside of the other side of the desk. But obviously, Jarrod works in the channel, represents a channel, but he's not a distributor. But distributors are sending out, because same thing, an order goes in today, they're not delivering something for 6 months. So placing orders, like you said, from a procurement side, that every manufacturer I know, and I don't know this specifically for Extreme yet, but I do know other manufacturers. We all know it's a giant world out there, and there's 5 giant ones that we talk about. But that 7% increase happens on the 7th of November. Jarrod, is that something that you've heard as well?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. Seeing a price increase is, it's all about supply and demand. As that demand goes up.
Hey, Ronnie, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, it looks like Jarrod may be having some technical issues there.
Hey, I'm just glad it's not me this
It's
time.
not. Yeah, we're 2 for 2 on technical issues, so hopefully he can hop back on.
All right, we'll get that episode, like you said, kind of like Joel Osteen, episode 828. We'll finally have it all down pat, and we'll know what we're going to say. But I would say, it looks like Jarrod's frozen, which is the stillest I've ever seen him. I've been out with him quite often. So.
Yeah, well, let me bring you. Oh, there you go. Hey, Jarrod, are you there? Are you back?
I'm back. Sorry, that was interesting. I got put in the void for a second.
I didn't. My computer didn't allow the packets to go through in time. How about that?
It was a package.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought he trip to space with William Shatner is what I thought just happened for a second.
Yeah. Did you guys hear anything? Yeah. No, I was just saying that supply and demand. Of course, you're going to see those prices increase, right, as the demand rises while we have limited supply. So I think that's just it's inevitable, right, and it has to be accommodated because companies can't, go negative, right? They need to pivot and things of that nature to accommodate. So I think for us here at Extreme, our supply chain team has done a great job in regards to, being forward thinking outside of the box to accommodate, our customers' needs, making sure we're able to fulfill orders as best we can. And I think that's just what any manufacturer is doing right now, just trying to make it through. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's there, right? But, thankfully we have such a wide portfolio of various technologies on the wired and wireless networking side of the house that we're able to, accommodate. Maybe you need to shift a little bit. Hey, I'm going to, here's an equivalent solution that you can deploy there. But again, going back to pivoting, for us, we're really transitioning into a SaaS company and the infinite enterprise, right? Providing something that is infinitely scalable, infinitely distributed, and very consumer centric. And I think, as you look at things like Microsoft Office 365, going to the cloud, these cloud networking technologies can be a game changer, right? They can either, help you to deploy and manage and monitor your existing network, right? Or even a big thing that we're doing is we're actually cloudifying third-party devices, right? So it's, hey, while you wait there may be a lead time on your new gear, we can at least provide you with this, a single pane of glass management for your existing equipment today, right? And then that way, when you get your gear, it's going to be a seamless transition to the cloud, right? So again, there's different things that I think a SaaS-based offering, can provide folks with, and that's where the world is going. I mean, you're starting to see a lot of security, right? Cloud access security brokers and things like that. A lot of things go into the cloud. And I think more now than ever, it's the power of SaaS, the power of what a software solution, a cloud solution can bring to the market, is becoming readily apparent and under the spotlight.
Oh yeah, the scalability, the flexibility, the transparency that a cloud solution brings to the table it can really be transformative in a lot of different ways. I'm also hearing some of my peers that are talking about bringing things back in and extending the life of their legacy gear or buying in the gray market. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about buying things in the gray market right now because they can't get the new equipment that they need.
And I was going to say, as we use that, obviously we know that I've, several decades, because I'm a billion years old, of experience on both sides, channel and not on channel. Third-party maintenance has become something that people start to think about now. And the truth is, if something's out on the edge and it's 3 years into its life cycle, you're probably not really getting patches and update, but perhaps you've planned something. And I certainly would tell you that we'll let OEMs talk. I mean, obviously Jarrod and I are friends, but I will tell you that I've been to their classes. They're at Cloud IQ. They don't care if you've got Cisco gear. They don't care if you have Juniper gear. They don't care if you have Extreme gear. What they're offering right now is we're going to accept all gear and basically bridge that gap till you can get it done. But I will say from what we would say the gray market area, there's OEMs that are saying, hey, listen, we'll baptize gear that comes from a secondary market with a clean serial if they'll buy a license, a flex types license, and then when the new gear arrives, you can transfer it, and then obviously if it's rental, whatever it is, put that piece in place. But I definitely would say that the bridging the gap is, I mean, the strategies are all very different. Like I said, I mean, if Jarrod wants to do a 30-second commercial, which I'll probably charge him $4 tickets for, but on Cloud, just kidding, on Cloud IQ, but it is unique where the manufacturers are finally, they're collaborating and saying, hey, these people have different pieces inside their organization or inside their business. We're willing to accept all of that right now and help you control that from one single pane of glass. I mean, Jarrod, I guess I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you hit the nail on the head, right? We talk about how are we going to bridge this gap, right? Hey, I need new gear, right? But I have my existing gear. I can't get new gear for a while. There may be a lead time associated with that. So, what Extreme is doing, and I think what is very beneficial to the market is helping you to protect your initial investment, right? Hey, what did you already invest in? What do you have deployed today? That's fine. From a wired and wireless networking perspective, we're really going to be able to provide you with that third-party device management and bring all of that together into a single pane of glass. And not only that, cloudify it, right? So we have the ability to cloudify those third-party devices, give you monitoring, visibility, and reporting on them, and analytics with unlimited data here in the cloud. And, really allow you to, like I said, protect your investment. Hey, I have a disparate network. I got a hodgepodge network. That's fine. If it supports SNMP, we can manage it, configure it, monitor it, run workflows, scripts, automation, config backups, and throw it in the cloud for you, right? So really bridge that gap of in between, purchase and deployment for you, right? And also while also setting you up with a roadmap for the cloud. Hey, as you move forward, you get your gear, you're going to upgrade. We're going to be able to, seamlessly transition you into an Extreme solution or not, right? If you just want to stay, hey, I have my, whatever, Cisco, HP, Aruba, Juniper, whatever it may be, we can manage it, and you can just manage it there. And we can also provide network access control, as we all know that security is king. But, again, staying in the theme of, of this conversation and, bridging the gap, third-party device management overall is a huge benefit, right? Across any manufacturers. Imagine if you had your home, right? And you think about the Jetsons, right? And you have a single, app or something like that, like a Nest or whatever, that where you manage everything in your home, right? From your doorbell to your cameras to your garage door opener to turning the lights on and off, refrigerator, thermostat, the whole nine. Imagine having that all at your fingertips, which some people do today. And there's great value in that, right? Mm-hmm. And great value in the ability to bring everything together and consolidate it into a single solution.
I tell you what, though, guys. I mean, I'm not as technical, obviously, as all you gentlemen on the screen are. I mean, I'm good enough, but a hard drive for me, like, you know what a hard drive is for me, Jarrod? A hard drive is the i4. I don't know if you can see the i4 behind me during rush hour. That's a hard drive for me. So you guys are more tech when it comes to, this part of it. And I heard a word earlier. He said, I don't know if you guys picked it up. Cloudify. I mean, I'm going to Google that after we're done. Cloudify. Is that a thing?
It's Marketify.
Yeah, Cloudify is definitely a thing, right? It's taking a non-cloud native device, right? And being able to put it in the cloud for management, monitoring, and data and analytics, right? You guys think about all the AI that's going on, right? Everything from self-driving cars to facial recognition to security, whatever. It's all based off data, right? Because from data, you gain information. From information, you gain knowledge. From knowledge, you gain intelligence. So that foundation of all AI, all this new things that we're seeing is data. And where can you collect the most data at scale across the world is, of course, the cloud, right? And so when you leverage the cloud and you're able to cloudify those devices, now I can actually start implementing AI algorithms for proactive anomaly detection and different things like that for those devices in the cloud, right? And so that brings unprecedented value to the consumer base, to organizations that didn't have that kind of visibility, data and analytics before, right? So being able to cloudify things is phenomenal. I like to think of the library, right? The library was cloudified by Amazon, right? That's what Jeff Bezos started out selling his books, right? And then that expanded from there. Now we have the grocery store cloudified because you can go on Whole Foods, right?
I would tell you this though, guys, and I don't know, I mean, Ryan, you could keep me honest, Ronnie as well. I still, from time to time, I'll talk to clients and customers that will tell me that they know about SaaS, they want to move to the cloud, but there's still some stuff, believe it or not, that they want to keep on-prem or their data centers for whatever the reason is. Maybe their every business operates differently in the marketplace. But I'm still seeing that there's still some apprehension to move everything to the cloud. I mean, are you guys seeing that too, Ronnie? I don't know.
Just real quick, and like I said, I'll let Brian answer, probably a more intelligent answer, but a cloud roadmap is something that you really have to think about. What fits well in AWS, what's fit well in Google, those sort of things. So that's also a strategy. So your cloud strategy has to be a strategy and has to be adopted. So we saw it certainly, obviously, during COVID, adopted more than it was. I guess previously that, somebody didn't want to lose their seat on the bench. There's an IT guy that said, well, all of a sudden, everything's on the server guy, and what do I do now when everything goes to the cloud? So it's a little bit of both. I've seen now in what we would talk about this turbulent area, I guess I've seen more of a hybrid mode, a little bit of both, and then watch people either go back one direction or go forward the other direction. But it's about coaching. That's what, again, not from the sales guy side, but that's when you get a trusted OEM to help you strategize that. That's when you get, somebody like Ryan that has to present proposals and business opportunities and business management and plans to say, okay, I'm putting my throat on the line here and saying, this is what makes sense. Like Ryan said before, talking about the gray market, and we use that word as the gray market. But even the OEMs, like you said, are accepting people buying gear that might be certified pre-owned. And I use the word baptize, although I think Jarrod being more better preacher than I would. He cloudified it. I just said baptize. But I would say that in reality, it's about the strategy and what's consistent and how does our business still grow and what do you trust? And quite frankly, the cloud is, everybody can move everything there. Who are we fooling? Every picture we ever took, when Jarrod talks about AI, if I'm walking through the outlet mall and it knows I'm a Toomey customer, it sends me a coupon because it recognizes me and sees me and uses intelligence, because the data becomes information, the information becomes knowledge, and the knowledge becomes opportunity. That was the last piece we left out of that one, Jarrod, is it becomes opportunity. That's from the sales guy side. That's my opinion, but everyone deals with it differently and separately.
But are we saying though that you're getting left behind if you're not moving everything to the cloud? Is that what
I think you have to be evaluating the cloud at every opportunity. And there are going to be some things that today still don't make sense to be in the cloud, but there are a lot of things that do make sense to be in the cloud. And it's up to the individual business to do that risk analysis, right, and understand where their opportunities lie, understand what their true cost models are. What is the ROI on moving something, forklift moving it to the cloud, or maybe re-engineer that, whatever that product was or whatever that business process was, so that it is now cloud optimized. If you're going to just forklift move everything to the cloud, you're probably going to pay too much.
Right.
But if you attack it with strategy, you go into it with purpose and deliberately make the changes that make the most sense for your business, that's where you create real business opportunities.
Well, let's explore that for a second, though, because I think that's interesting, right? From an IT perspective, you prioritize what's important for the business, right? To move that to the cloud first, because you're saying you can't do it all in one shot. You'll go broke, you'll blow through your budget. So prioritizing is critical, but eventually, are we talking about moving everything?
I think in the long run, yes. I think everything will be in the cloud.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's interesting because I would imagine, I think that's an interesting debate in the IT world, because I've seen some people say exactly what you said, and the majority, I think, would agree. But I also seen some, I don't know, I guess you want to call them guys old school mentality or whatever, that believe, and I think Ronnie alluded it to, is maybe the people losing seats. And, I think that's an interesting topic in a debate that the IT world needs to decide what we're going to do. Because as technology changes, bridging the gap in tech, as we change, eventually, at some point in time, regardless of the industry, regardless of the business.
I would go as far as to say that the stagecoach driver didn't really think that the car was coming to take over the world, right? We still have horses around, but
that's true.
Not a lot of people ride a horse to work every day.
Ronnie does. I bet you Ronnie does.
He's got an amazing golf cart that he drives around. It's a legendary cart.
Right. With Wi-Fi, with a hotspot, yes, I do. But I also agree with that. He mentioned a key word too, and I think Jarrod said it as well, is regardless of the business or business opportunity, it is about strategy. So like you said, you may just start and be brand new at your job and try to figure out what's in my network closets and what do they do and how do they hit their Salesforce, or how do they get this application, or how does accounting get to SharePoint and things like that. But you have to have like you said, a practitioner. So you have a Ryan that's a practitioner that writes a strategy, a real strategy around the business plan and around about what's economically fundamental in regards to that. And so when part of bridging even that, how do we get to the cloud? Where is the cloud? Because sometimes I think you have to explain that to someone, because a lot of business decisions now made are in the CFO's office, or maybe why the CFO is reading a magazine while he's using the restroom. We don't know. Reading a tech magazine.
Well, and there's also there's a whole element around cloud orchestration, right?
There you go.
We were looking at a tool just last week where it was going to cost us, I think it was a 40% license increase for this cloud technology that we consume. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that we didn't actually need to consume that technology. There was another way for us to accomplish that same business task, that business goal, and still do it in the cloud, but without that licensing cost. Right. So you have to be strategic about where you're spending your money.
Right, exactly. And just to chime in there in regards to that strategy, too, you got to start thinking about, I got my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, right? And looking at that was an eye-opening class and learning experience for me personally. And you start thinking about the strategy. The strategy can be hybrid. Most times it needs to be, right? There are some things that some folks just don't want to put in the cloud because of security, right? Or because of functionality, like a true, like network access control system, a NAC, needs to have an on-prem piece to it, right? Whether that be a software in a VM or, tied with the cloud or, a box, what have you. So there are some instances where they're, going fully to the cloud doesn't make sense or isn't practical nor feasible. However, I think the biggest reservation, again, is security, right? So, companies, need to invest in cloud technologies that provide them that peace of mind from a security perspective. You start looking at the hacks and data breaches that have happened, right? The pipeline just this year. I mean, just insane, how detrimental and how much of a negative impact that can have on organization, not only operationally, but monetarily, paying fines and fees and things like that for a financial institution, millions of dollars, right? So,
you can't leave the organization to believe that just because you put it into the cloud that it's now magically safe, right? There's a whole element of security that has to be implemented properly when you put it into a cloud solution. AWS is a great example. How many breaches have we heard about because somebody had a MongoDB sitting out there with no security turned on, and an entire database was downloaded and published on the dark web. It was in the cloud. It was great, but they didn't tighten the bolts. They didn't turn the knobs the right way to actually protect that data. So it's critical to also have those engineers that know how to protect the data.
Right, exactly. And I mean, and it's critical for, as a manufacturer to have it. I'll just tell you, Extreme Networks, I mean, we have the most secure cloud networking platform on the market, right? We have our ISO 27001, 27701, 27017, SOC 2 Star Level 1 security certifications, and we're not relying on the bigger mega providers like AWS, Azure, or Google GCP, right? We ourselves have secured our platform, right? And there's a lot that goes into that, right? Not only from hey, I'm going to pass these certification standpoint, but in order to achieve these certifications, we actually had to adopt a culture of security here, because you get things like spot check audits where auditors will come in, they'll, desk down, and they'll take a look at people's screens, see if any customer's data happens to be, arbitrarily on a screen somewhere, right? So it's a thing about adopting a culture of security, right, along with awareness, education, and commitment to execution to get those security certifications, to give yourself as a manufacturer peace of mind, your partners peace of mind, and of course your beloved customer base to say, hey, I know you have reservations about the cloud, but when you come to our cloud, right, you can have that peace of mind, and we actually have all our security certifications. The other thing, too, that is very important is cloud choice. So we also have the ability to deploy our cloud in AWS, Azure, GCP, or even on-prem in a VMware box, right, in a piece of software. So true cloud choice, deployment choice matters, right? All of that matters to an organization because that gives you flexibility, right? It's your network. You need to decide for your organization strategically what is the best course of action there. And, that's why I love working for Extreme, because we give those choices. And I love having these conversations with customers about what's your plan? What's your strategy? And if your strategy isn't go to cloud today, that's great. We have a solution for you on-prem, but hey, in the future, let's make a plan. What can we get into the cloud for you? And here's the data and analytics that will benefit your organization, from in all facets, right? From security to revenue generation, to client and customer user experience, right? To marketing. Hey, I want to see dwell times, locationing. To logistics. Hey, I want location, right? I need to see asset tracking in the warehouse. I need to know where that pallet went, right? All of these things can be cloudified, and then we offload all of that cost of maintaining an on-prem solution and put it into the cloud, where you are able to take advantage of continuous innovation, right? And a fourth gen cloud networking architecture that's built on, containerized microservices and basically, things that we can spin up. It's really easy to deliver new features, security patches, functionalities in the cloud, right? Very simple, or not simple, but a lot more effortless than it is to squeeze it all down into a software and deliver it that way, right? So you get that continuous innovation in the cloud, those constant updates to ensure, that operations are streamlined for your company.
Now, I got
Sorry about that, Jeff. And just quick question. So have you hashtagged that and logoed that line, True Cloud Choice?
I have not, but I'm going to do it right now. Hashtag True Cloud Choice. Your cloud, you choose.
You got the voice down and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we have a couple of people on the stream. Just a reminder for those of you who are watching live, if you have any questions for Jarrod or Ryan or myself or Ronnie, feel free to put those in the chat, because I think we're having a really in-depth tech talk at this point. I got to be honest with you, all the acronyms. I'm sorry, Jarrod. I'll be honest. Ronnie put me onto this green drink thing that we were talking about, and so for breakfast, I have a juice, like a spinach juice with oats, and I'm a little bit pissed off. I'm cranky. So then you guys start throwing out all the acronyms and the IT jargon. I'm starting to get a bit of attention headache, but that's all right. I think that our audience that is watching will appreciate that, right? I would imagine. But I'm looking forward to grabbing lunch after this, I have to admit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it does get crazy and convoluted, right? Hopefully you have a trusted advisor that you can lean on, right? That knows all of the acronyms and the craziness to help you make that plan, right? And, myself here, find me on LinkedIn. Jarrod Washington, I'm on LinkedIn. You got questions about cloud, you want to learn about some more about Extreme, or you just want to talk, right? A little bit further about continue this conversation, just to chit chat. I'd love that. I love talking to folks and helping out where I can. But at the end of the day, the cloud is a thing that can help you. It's not mandatory, but you should start probably looking at it, right? And I think, it being a game changer. And again, what can you offload, right? What things and processes and pieces of your organization are hardware dependent today that could be cloud that we could offload and make and execute with a SaaS or a cloud-based solution, right? What are those things? Because guess what? If you are able, those things become a non-issue for you during something like this, a global chipset shortage where you're short on hardware, right? Mm-hmm. Because now I can deliver, I can execute without any hardware, with software. Software is always available, right? I can deploy and spin up a cloud. I can call AWS and spin up an S3 block today, right? That's not dependent on me having some hardware. I can get a piece of software there, right? I don't think Amazon is having any shortage right now on actual server space in their data center, right? So, just food for thought, right? As you go there. But again, it's all about that strategic thinking and planning for your business. And just can't stress enough that now more than ever, having that long view is mission critical.
You bring up a good point there, Jarrod, and I'm curious to know, how does one determine what data center that they go to, right? Because, like you said, right, Amazon's not worrying about, AWS not necessarily worrying about any shortages at this point. How do you determine, is it, price, I would imagine, is one thing.
I think it's a multitude of factors, right? I think a smart business is going to have a multi-cloud strategy to begin with. You're not going to put all of your eggs into AWS or into Azure or into GCP. Mm-hmm. You're going to have your microservices architected in a way that they run some in AWS, some in Azure, and they interact with each other transparently to the consumers. Mm-hmm. So if there is an outage on one platform, your application doesn't go down.
You're not exposed.
Exactly.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah, I would imagine that. I admire you guys from an IT perspective and how you have to deal with all this, especially because you're managing the business, you're managing the day-to-day, you have to foreshadow or foresee, you have your budgets. It could be overwhelming, I would imagine, at times.
Yeah, every day's a holiday, right?
What do you mean? Yeah, I guess. If you take a positive outlook on it, I would imagine, that would be the case. But
every day represents a new challenge, a new opportunity for both personal and professional growth.
But realistically, you have to manage your employees, the people that are under you. You have to manage your strategies, and then you have to manage your budget, because then once you identify what a strategy is, we talked about this before, right?
Yeah,
We've had this conversation.
You
manage your vendors, right? But then you also have to go to the office across the hall and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and then seek funding for it. It could be a daunting, frustrating task, I would imagine.
I can't imagine it being any worse than trying to sell to people too.
Ronnie, what do you think?
Exactly. Well, Jonathan, I think, that's where, folks like, myself, and then really great partners like Ronnie, Trifecta, where you have that relationship. You have someone in the trenches with you to fight those battles and to have a steak and a beer, right? As you traverse this crazy, initiative, right? And you are working towards your goals, right? It's all about having that trusted advisor again, and a good technology partner that you can be in lockstep with, have full alignment with, and execute with, right? Yeah. So I think that relationship building is absolutely key, not only for the sales guy, right? Of course, but also for the organization. Like Ryan, like you said, know your vendors, right? Vendor strategy is having a relationship to be able to talk, to say, man, I have this project coming up. How do we accommodate? How do we get past this? What is our cloud strategy, right? And to fight with you.
I would say this.
You have to know your peers as well, right? Because it's not that the challenges that I face as an organization aren't unique to my org individually. Right. Everybody else out there is doing the same things. They're looking at the same challenges. So be friends with the other IT leaders in your city or even just across the country. There's plenty of groups out there that you can get involved with. They're going to help introduce you to other practitioners that are, hopefully smarter than you, because I always try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me.
That's why we hang out.
Exactly. That's how you learn, right? You are the company you keep, right? So.
Hey, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. That's pretty much what I was told growing up. But I definitely would say this from a vendor management perspective, and I know that's a whole nother day and a whole nother issue. I would tell you someone like Ryan that is a practitioner, manages multiple vendors, manages multiple OEMs, manages multiple, like you said, right now, challenges, and again, has to go trust. So that trust, that, stranger, opportunity, a deal, a relationship, a friendship, and trusted advisor. And like you said, and utilize that, hey, that when you get to the sales guy's side, the sales guy's going to find, he's going to be agnostic and figure out what is the best thing to fix this, whatever that is. And be clear and present with that, because what you don't want to get caught is basically jumping to what sounds the easiest for your end user, and then that being a problem for them. As we talked about cloud strategy, well, there's hardware strategy, there's telephony strategy, call center strategy, there's everything about that side of the desk. The other side of that desk is about strategy, and it's not always a 3-year plan. It could be a 5-year plan, but for right now, it's how do we get to the 3-year plan by fixing this 1-year chip shortage plan? How do we do it? But it has to be sold internally. So, the old saying people used to say, you never got fired for buying new Cisco. Well, that's a great rule, but you wouldn't get your new Cisco till June of next year. So if you had to look at the gray market to fix a site in Washington or wherever it would be, you might have to look at what's available and how do we adopt that, and how does the OEM accept us adopting that. So it's some very different, like I said, I just think the key word in all of this that we said today is the word strategy. So as I say that, I'm going to tell you that my son has soccer practice in 15 minutes. So I will be the only one that leaves short, but I'll never miss a meeting again. So I am doing the heading into space just to drop my son off at soccer practice. But I would tell you, Jarrod.
So yeah, we're going to have a Ron dog shortage.
A Ron dog shortage. There's no such thing as
why? You have a shortage of Ron dog.
Everybody in this room, and Jarrod's been in this conference room with me, and like I said, I've spent plenty of time with Ryan. No, I can suck all the oxygen out of the room. I can make an oxygen shortage. It doesn't have to be a chip shortage. I just talk so much nobody else can breathe.
Right.
Well, we appreciate you, sir. If you got to jump off, then you got to jump off. Family comes first. But we love you, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you next week.
I'm going to sign in the minute I get in my car. Are you kidding me? I don't just text and drive. I iPhone and drive. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm going to take my son to soccer practice, once practice tryouts. But I will tell you, I will be on next week. And Jarrod Washington, I will tell you still to this day, I just don't know why you're not a singer or a preacher. I haven't figured it out yet. But I feel so excited when I hear you speak. And you and I talk about this offline. So this isn't like you said, an extreme commercial by any means or anything like that. But it's extremely important that we talk about these things and about bridging the gap. And I will say that your organization has done a very good job in regards to figuring out ways to help the VAR, help the guy on the other side of the desk, help the Ryan Colberts. And like you said, being agnostic and in cloud technology is very unique, and it doesn't exist anywhere else. And we all know about AI, but also to Ryan's point, what Ryan said is a cloud strategy is not put your eggs in one basket. It's know what works best where, what is the most crucial, and figuring out those pieces. With that being said, you guys won't get any more Ron Dog. I'm closing my case and walking out.
Well, before you go, Ronnie, you know what? I think it's a perfect time because you know what? We're winding down on the East Coast on our lunch break, right? So we got to make sure that we get everybody back in time. I do want to say it might be an excellent time to just end it at this point because I think we've talked, about it and we've added some value. The keyword adding value to the IT community. And I personally want to say, Jarrod, thank you for hopping on with us, sharing your knowledge, sharing your perspective because you're on the West Coast there, so it's breakfast time still for you over there. Where you have to get up and take
at 5:30 a.m. So
yeah, right now in the sales world, Jarrod is in prime selling hour. So he's taking time out. So I want to say thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm sure you guys will agree, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love to come back again to chat with you, but. Man, just so very grateful for your guys' time here. Ronnie, I love you, man, and the Trifecta team. You guys are phenomenal, and I'm blessed to know and work with you. You got a friend for life in me. You know that, and I'm looking forward to our continued partnership, brother. And everyone on the call, thanks for joining today. Again, you want to learn more about Extreme, there's no better time to learn about Extreme Networks and the Infinite Enterprise, third-party device management. We'll Cloudify your Juniper, your Cisco for you for pennies on the dollar, right? With our universal licensing model, wired, wireless, Wi-Fi 6E, right, is out. We have that available for you, as well as our fabric there. So, man, we're here to help you bridge your gap in tech here at Extreme. So give me a shout. Hit me up on LinkedIn.
Hashtag Cloudify. That's going to be what the post is going to look like. So,
Like a dance
all right, Jarrod. Hey, Jarrod, let's do that one more time. We put you on the spot as we wrap up this episode. Can you give us one of those Family Feud type, moves, those dances or something?
Yeah, exactly. Be like, bridging the gap in tech. Woo! Let's go.
Oh, that's a wrap right there.
Love it, man. All right, guys. Well, listen, everyone have a great rest of your day. Episode 2, Bridges the Gap in Tech. Thank you, Jarrod. Appreciate it, sir. Everyone.
All right.
See you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thanks.